This is Tabletop Weekly, and we're the partners of Solarian Games.
I'm James.
I'm Jason.
And I'm Pete.
And this week's stories are: The Keep on the Borderlands will return as the introductory adventure for D&D in the 2025 starter set. Mark Miller has transferred Traveler to Mongoose in its entirety, and we're going to take a look at a new release, The Lost Adventures of Gary Con from Wizard Tower Games.
Yeah, a lot of stuff going on this week.
Yeah, and I can't figure out how to move to the next page in this little thing, but I know we're going to talk about The Keep on the Borderlands, so there we go. And already my phone is blowing up because I forgot to put myself on Do Not Disturb, so let me fix that. There we go. That's what we love about this podcast.
Wait a minute, but hey, before you go into that real quick, you sent a video, the D&D.
Let's go there first. Yeah, because this is part of the announcement we heard. Like, the reason that we found out that the new starter set will be The Keep on the Borderlands is because they announced it at a D&D Beyond live stream earlier, about 5 days ago or so. And we all had a chance to take a look at that.
Yeah, it was a long. I mean, I don't know. We talked for
25 minutes.
We talked for half an hour, so I guess not that long. But anyway, and there was it was like a big promo and everything. And they kept talking about how, we redid this from the ground up. We redid that from the ground up. I'm kind of excited to see what they've done. If they really because sometimes companies will say what they did, and you look at it and you go, okay, sure, yeah, whatever, but not that big a deal. I wonder if it is that big a deal.
It kind of is. So I have had a chance to look through the, I forget what it's, there's an official name that they're going to have for it, but for right now, everybody's calling it the 2024 Player's Handbook. So I've had a chance to look through it, thanks to somebody who went to Gen Con and picked up a copy. And yeah, it's definitely, you can tell that it's been 10 years since they wrote the last Player's Handbook. It's definitely compatible. You're not going to have to stop using your old books or anything like that. There's going to be some rules lawyers that'll have fun arguing about little things that have changed, but it's fundamentally the same game.
And recently, WotC, actually recently, within the past week or so, they did one of their infamous Wizards of the Coast backtracks. So what they made an announcement that on September 2nd, they were going to remove all magic items and spells from D&D Beyond. And the only spells that and magic items you would have is from the new edition. And the pitchforks and torches went up, and then they reneged on it, which is good, because I was just going to cancel D&D Beyond altogether if they were going to take away my ability to run games in that platform. So
yeah, it's a good thing at least they listened in this case. I think this is the danger of running any kind of a brand that has such a strong fan presence, is nobody's going to not make mistakes in the stuff they do. But if you run it with a fan presence like D&D has, when you do a dumb thing, it gets really noticed. But at least they undo the dumb thing most of the time.
So here's my 2 points on it. I'll be positive, I guess. So Goodman, I know I'm
Smurf.
I'm Grumpy Smurf, Statler, and Waldorf. I'm all my spirit animals. No, but here's the thing. So 3 years ago, Goodman Games republished Keep on the Borderlands as this book that you basically could kill someone with. It's huge. It has the 5e. Yeah, I have it too. I have the 5e edition in it and the original, which is expanded with notes, and it's an awesome book. It's a good collector's book. So one, they're doing it again. And then my second question leads to, is this Keep on the Borderlands for a modern audience, or are they going to keep it with all its parts intact?
Well, I think you know the answer to that.
Yeah.
I mean, none of us know the answer for sure, but given that this is something that's going to be for the starter set coming out next year, they want this to be viewed by people who have not played D&D before. So they want to make a good first impression. And I think if you took anything from 1978 or whatever year Keep on the Borderlands came out, I'm just making up that year because I'm not an encyclopedia, but it's around that time. If you took anything from that year and just put it out exactly as it is now and asked a 14-year-old, and I'm not talking even games, it could be a movie, it could be any number of things, you'd have to make some changes to it just because it's not 1978. You know, the only thing is, as long as the module is the same module, you know, it's a really good way to start an adventure. It's very sandboxy, and you can just well, actually no, I'm thinking more, what's the oh shoot, which is the module where you go into the sort of horseshoe shaped thing and there's lots of caves that just go running into?
That's
It's
Keep in the Borderland.
It is
That's
keeping the
that's
border.
the caves.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the part of it. It's the caves of
chaos.
chaos.
Yeah, I mean, that's such a great way for new players to just explore and do a little more dungeon crawl. So we'll see what they do with it, but I'm sure it'll be a big, thick book because that's what Wizards does now. They do big, thick books. They don't do simple, cheap modules. But
well, and hopefully, if it's a starter set, it'll be better than their ones for 5e, where it's like, here's a module, here's some pre-gen characters. We don't tell you anything, and here's this like 4-page thing that tells you kind of how to play the game. So it's like, you know, and if you think about that model of things, they sell them for about $20, right? Paizo for maybe $10 more. Have you ever seen a Paizo Pathfinder starter box? It comes with pre-gens. It comes with everything to generate your own characters to up to 5th level. It comes with full spells, an adventure book, standees, a fold-out. I'm clapping. Sorry. Standees, all kinds of other things for $30. And I'm hoping that Wizards is not going to give you the, wow, I could have printed this out on myself on my printer and it would have looked better.
Yeah, I don't know. I have not played the starter set with Pathfinder, but that sounds a lot better. I don't know. I was talking with somebody today, a person in the industry, about, you know, how the various companies are doing, and we were talking about Paizo, and the reason that Paizo kind of existed, I mean, not why they were first created, but their raison d'etre, right, was basically 4th edition sucks. We want to play something that's more like D&D. Here's Pathfinder. If you play 3.5, you can just keep playing that. And so that's why it blew up. And now that they've fixed the problems of 4E by making a game that actually feels like D&D again, it's kind of a question of, you know, going forward, what's Paizo going to do? I mean, are they actually still growing?
Well, Paizo has its fan base. I don't think Pathfinder is ever going to go away. But I think that it'll be more balanced to the Force in a way where, because at the beginning of the pandemic, 5e was taking all the numbers. Like they were just going crazy. But then 2nd edition of Pathfinder came out. The scales tipped a little bit. But right now, I mean, I kind of see it more in a very balanced thing because you have people who don't want to play D&D 5e rules because they need something more visceral, and that's where Pathfinder comes in. So I think it's like the difference between playing Star Frontiers and
Traveler.
Hey, yeah, there you go. That's a great segue.
Yeah. I there were a lot of things in that video. So obviously one of them was the keep on the Borderlands coming back. There was a lot of stuff about Project Sigil, so you guys got to see what it actually looks like now. I mean, it's basically just if you want to have Dwarven Forge and miniatures, but you can't afford it or don't have room for it, you could have a virtual version, is basically it, right? But the thing that struck me the most about the whole D&D Beyond live stream was how much it almost felt like I was watching an Apple computer commercial, you know, or any other tech company showing all their new stuff. It was very corporate feeling, had lots of people talking about how much they loved everything that Wizards was doing and how, you know, I mean, it was a big commercial, right? Lots of testimonies. And I know that there's almost no period in time you can go back to when it wasn't a big corporate thing. TSR was a big corporate thing too. you know.
Mhm.
But somehow it felt different, and it just watching it made me not feel like it was something that I could have for my own table. It was felt like something that's a big tech company wanted to sell me and get my money for. Which of course they do, but it just didn't feel I didn't feel like it was I didn't feel like the players were at the center of it. I felt like the company was at the center of it.
Well, I think you're going to have that. I mean, it's kind of hard to get away from that as big a company as they are. We're talking about the
Yeah.
the billions of dollars they're making. I mean, honestly, I don't know how they could escape that. And it's okay because it's not like it's not enjoyable. But it's sounds like it's not your kind of thing, which again is fine. There's so many players in the world now
Yeah.
that there's room for everybody. I was going to say when we're talking about Pathfinder versus D&D, I don't think it's a problem. There's so many players that who cares, right? It's like there's room for everybody. There's room at the table for everyone to sit down and present their games or play their games any way they want to. So I don't really think. I mean, Pathfinder may not make as much money as they used to make because they had nailed a real um, a really wanted area that didn't exist at the time, and now it does. So it's kind of going to be harder for them to make a big profit off of it. But I think they'll be fine. I think they're still going to stick around. They make good
Well,
products.
so this is the other thing. I don't know if what I'm about to say is news or not. Maybe this is something everybody knew. I just found out today. Maybe because I hadn't talked to him, but I guess I didn't realize that Mike Merles has left Wizards and gone to Chaosium.
Oh, that's interesting.
James, you're shaking your head. Yes. When did this happen?
I didn't know he went to Chaosium, but I know that he was because I read his LinkedIn posts because I follow him on LinkedIn, and he's been talking about game design and doing something new. So I didn't know it was Chaosium, but it's fairly recent. I don't want to put a time frame on it, but
I'm not going to say I'm friends with Mike. It's more like, we see each other at conventions and I'll text him to say where I'm going to be and we'll, meet up or something, but I don't know like what he's doing every day. Right. So I didn't know he had that new job, but it just got me thinking about different companies. Like we're going to talk about Mongoose in just a minute, and there's Chaosium, and it'll be a great thing for them because I mean Mike's a great designer and a great leader.
Oh, he is.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's impressive that Chaosium could afford to hire somebody from the upper echelons of Wizards. But it just made me realize there are a lot of companies that I do feel are more nerdy or more gamery, and then all of just the indie publishers that it just feels so good to pick up their stuff. So
it is.
I'm not going to be an anti-Wizards person. I'll probably always play D&D, but it just doesn't have it doesn't feel personal to me.
No, and I get it. And I was just about to say that, what, and going off what Pete said, there's so many flavors of fantasy role play out there that you're going to find something that, that floats your boat in a way. So, for me, if I really want to have that feel of visceral fantasy, I'm going to go play Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, because
Oh yeah, that's a rough one.
Yeah, it's dark, it's full of disease and starving peasants, and you can, and death around every corner. And that's how in my mind, that's how D&D, I don't see it as more modern audiences.
Come to think of it, you're making me think how much I want to go play Thieves Guild.
Oh.
Well, hey, did you know that Chaosium also has 7th Sea now? So Chaosium bought 7th Sea from John Wick. Yeah. So he's not even, I don't even think he's even I don't know if he's part of it anymore or not. But he did sell it to Chaosium. So they've been making moves. So
Cool.
they have 7th Sea, which is big. It's a big property. And they've got and now they've got Mike Merles, which might be who's going to be running 7th Sea. Who knows?
Maybe.
Well,
I mean, that would be a good role for him.
See. I mean, I think it's fair to say that Cthulhu is the biggest alternative to fantasy role playing, to D&D out there.
I think so.
It's the one that's got the most staying power.
It's an evergreen.
But I think so when we look at the different genres, fantasy is obviously well covered. There are other things in the same realm as Cthulhu, but it kind of is a genre in and of itself. And then, of course, when it comes to spy gaming, there's only Top Secret.
Only that's the only
Yeah.
spy game
The
ever.
only spy game that exists. No, there's others, but that's what we want to be, right? I mean, we're kind of looking at that and saying, how do we carve out our own niche in playing, modern games? Like Top Secret can be played as a heist, or it can be played as a detective game, or it can be played as a spy game. That's where we want to go.
Mhm.
Hopefully we get there. And then there's science fiction. And so, like we said, Paizo has got Starfinder, but that's not really science fiction at all.
Yeah, it's like D&D in space.
Yeah, I mean, they literally call them space gnomes or whatever, right? Or space goblins.
I can guarantee if I want to play science fiction, I'm not playing that. That is not because I'm not that kind of science. And again, no shade on it. I'm just not that kind of science fiction guy.
It's not science fiction. It's just D&D with a different coat of paint, or a Pathfinder with a different coat of paint. But as a segue, I think it's pretty fair to say that Traveler is not, it doesn't hold the only place in science fiction gaming, but it's definitely right up at the top.
Oh, it's a household name, I think,
For
to a lot of
gamers,
gamers. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, if you actually like science fiction, and not science, just space opera, I think Traveler is probably your best option in terms of the big games. There's a lot of good science fiction games, but and so now we have the next piece of news, which is that Traveler, which Mark Miller has owned since he created it 50 years ago, which is crazy.
Jesus Christ, yeah.
50 years ago. And he still looks young. He really does. If you've ever seen him at a convention, he just doesn't age. But he has passed ownership in its entirety to Mongoose Publishing. And there's been a lot of talk about it. Why? I mean, maybe it's just he's ready to see somebody else carry the torch. I don't know.
Maybe he's semi-retired. I mean, give the, like 50 years. He's what? So he's got to be 70. Is that right?
I mean, in his 70s, probably.
In his 70s,
I don't know
right.
what year he made,
So-
how old he was when he made it, but
So maybe he's just like, look, let me, it makes sense. I need to make sure that my baby goes to the next group of people who are going to take care of it, because, he's getting older, and that, once you get in your 70s, you just got to start thinking about your legacy. So he wanted to pass this would be my guess. He'd want to pass his legacy on to somebody who will take care of it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, Mongoose has been a great steward to Traveler for the past few years. I mean, besides some older stuff that I've bought over the years, I still have all my Traveler stuff is all Mongoose, and I still play. I still play like once or twice a month with an online group on Tuesdays, and I think it's a different style of science fiction, though. It's hard science fiction. It's like, if you want Star Trek, Star Wars, don't play Traveler.
Right.
Traveler is very like, in the rules, basically you have to figure out how much money you're getting a month, how you're going to support your ship, how you're going to buy your supplies, your life support stuff. It's just,
Well, even gravity matters.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's a crazy rabbit hole of like hard science fiction, which is awesome. I mean, don't get me wrong, but I mean, if you want something more flimsy,
Space opera.
More space opera, I would honestly like Corollas by Free League is good. Play Star Frontiers, the game that'll you'll never understand, but it's kind of fun. It's got winged monkeys in it. I mean,
Well, I was actually, this is a complete tangent, but since you mentioned Star Frontiers, I was surprised from a podcast that we all heard recently to find out that Star Frontiers was never meant to be the kind of space opera, silly fantasy thing it was when they started it. When Zeb Cook and Lawrence Schick first wrote it, they were writing hard SF like Traveler, and somebody at TSR said, we have to sell this to kids. They aren't going to be able to understand it. This is too complicated. Can you, tone it down? And somehow, in all of the arguments over whether it should be toned down or whatever, they got their names removed from the thing. They took the project away from them and turned it into, the kind of cartoony game that, I mean, Star Frontiers is cool. It's fun, but it's not science fiction.
No.
Yeah. I'd love to see that manuscript. Oh my God. When I heard that on that podcast, I was like, I must read this manuscript.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? I'm surprised nobody's just gone to either one of them and asked if they have it.
Yeah.
You know,
Or
'cause
John
they're both
Peterson
pretty-
hasn't like dug it up somewhere.
He's got to have found it. We have to.
Well,
have
you
it.
know what? When we go to Total Con this year, maybe Zeb, because Zeb does go to Total Con, maybe we can talk to him about it and say, "Hey, man, is there any way that
Yeah, come on.
we can
we won't
see
tell
this?"
anybody.
Right? Yeah, shh, just us.
Oh, that would be
Alright,
so
so
cool.
there's two things I want to point out though about this. One is the Traveler system is open source. So there is a system called, I can never pronounce it, Cepheus.
How do you spell it?
Hold on.
Okay.
I can actually.
But
Let
yeah, I
me
was a little
look.
confused because in the show notes here that I think Peter, you put this in.
Yep.
It says the fair use policy for the Traveler RPG allows fans to create and post non-commercial traveler material online. Well, that's not the same as being open source. That's saying there's restrictions. So what is their actual position?
So, oh, here it is. So I'll spell it to you. It is spelled Cepheus.
Oh, that's easy.
Cepheus?
Sure.
Whatever.
Let's say
Anyway, what is
Cepheus.
it? So what is it?
What is it?
So Cepheus is the open Traveler license. It's the Traveler rules, but anyone could publish under that engine.
Okay.
Actually, I have a couple of really cool games in my Traveler section. One which is a really cool 1980s cyberpunk where you play like Japanese messengers. That's pretty damn cool. But it does exist. So that's why I was looking at this fair use policy, because it's like, yeah, I really don't want to create Traveler stuff and not get paid for it and then put it online for everyone else to use. If I'll make money off it and use the Cepheus engine and make all kinds of course, I can't use their IP, but that's common sense.
Yeah.
But if I want to create Traveler stuff, I'd rather use Cepheus, file off the serial numbers, make a few bucks if I can, and it's easy and it perfectly melds in. You could take the Cepheus stuff and use it for Traveler because it's the same system.
Well, to be fair, that note that I pulled, the fair use policy note that I pulled, I didn't do like a ton of research. I saw that and then I did a search.
Oh,
and it came up. They came up and I copy and paste. That could be old. It could be, I don't know. It could be a tangential thing. I don't know.
Well, we don't know for the purposes of today's show exactly what the rules are about creating travel. And I get very confused about what edition is which and what goes with what, because there's been so many. But what I am excited about is to see if Mongoose is taking over everything, then that means they can probably clear up some of that confusion. They, like you say, they've made really good stuff so far.
They have excellent stuff.
It would be great to see them become much bigger because of this, because I think Traveler is a great game that more people should play.
Yeah, Mongoose has quality products. They do really well. I've had conversations, I can't think of his name, with someone at Mongoose years ago, because Mongoose actually used to give us prize support for Icon back in the day.
Cool.
So they're nice. They're really good people. The only thing I would caution is that they're pricey. So it's a common, I should say a shared friend of Pete and I, Terry Mixon.
Oh yeah, Terry.
Yeah, I won't tell you how much he spent, but he just went on a Traveler binge, and it's in the thousands.
Oh, I'm sure.
In the thousands. Yeah. So it's good product, but it's pricey. So it's kind of like like I'm saying, if you don't have a lot of dimes in your pocket, you can either Mongoose offers a free version of the Traveler rule set, which isn't too shabby. Actually, it's not in depth, but it's playable. And again, if you don't have the money for that, pick up Cepheus Deluxe on Amazon or Drive Through RPG. It's like $12, and it's the Traveler rule set, just serial numbers filed off. So,
well, and it's cool that they do have some type of a game engine out there for people to use.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about it more in future shows here, but for anybody who's listening, we do have our own game engine called Lucky 13 that drives Top Secret, and that is available for free. It's written out in a nice little book where it's everything you need to make your own game with it. So I think we'll have to spend a little bit more time actually not hiding our light under a bushel on that one and really making it easy for people to get.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
of course, right now our website is just the store. The version of our website where you could get things like that is under construction, as I swear daily at WordPress for being hard to do what I want.
Right.
But once that's fixed, we'll make a big fuss about it.
Okay. And just say real quick, shout out to Terry Mixon. He's a good writer. So if you, he writes science fiction. He's a really good writer. He used to work for NASA, so he knows.
That's a good sign.
Yeah, he knows. Yeah, he's a good sign.
Yeah, pick up Empire of Bones. His that's one of he has many.
Empire. Did you say Empire of Bones?
Yep, Empire of Bones.
Okay. Yeah, it's funny. When the authors who come from engineering backgrounds are often the best.
Yeah.
Jerry Pournelle, who one of the all-time greats of sci-fi. He started out. Didn't he start as a NASA engineer?
Oh, I don't know.
I think so. Or Daniel Suarez, who started out as an engineer. A lot of them. So right. Empire of Bones. You said.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. All right. Cool. All right. Let's go to our last story of the day, which is a new product. And this is The Lost Adventures of Gary Con. So I will show this first for people who are watching on the stream now or later, and we'll describe it. I'm going to try to get this in the right place on the camera. So this is a hardcover book. Comes with a couple of other things, but let me explain what this is first and foremost. So most gamers probably know that Gary Con is held once a year in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, to mark the life of Gary Gygax. It began in 2008, not really as Gary Con, but it was essentially Gary's wake. And then the next year, everybody who was there said, let's get back together. And that was Gary Con 1. And then they got together again. So guess what? It was Gary Con 2. And then Gary Con 3 was the first time I went, and it was starting to really turn into a proper convention at that point. And now Gary Con is on its 15th year and has moved to a bigger venue. It's one of the biggest non-monster conventions. If you're not talking about the Gen Con Origins type things in terms of the conventions where you've got 4,000 or 5,000 people as opposed to 50,000, and it's great. So and it's even been featured on the Big Bang Theory. When Sheldon goes to Gary Con, that was a whole episode. So going back to the first Gary Cons, Tim Kask, who is the original creator of the Dragon magazine, was one of the original editors with us with Gygax magazine, and who has been a friend and compatriot and co-player and then employee of Gary Gygax is going back to 1973. So he wrote a couple of adventures for the first two Gary Cons, and they were called I'm going to make sure I get this right. There was the Tower of the Mad Wizard, and then there was the something to the north. Hang on just a second here. They're both in here basically. So and Return to the Frozen North. And so they're both in here. So first and foremost, this is a great collector's item because this is the only place you're going to get these two adventures. These were run just mostly for people who in some way or another knew Gary, because the first two Gary Cons were really just friends and family and people in the general orbit. So not many people saw this. And in the book, he explains, Tim in his intro says, there was probably only been played about half a dozen times ever. And so for that alone, it's really cool. And he even include in what you get in the set is you get the hardcover book that contains both of the adventures. And there's some new things in here as well. And I'll explain that in just a moment. You get some maps that don't have anything to do with those adventures, but they do have to do with a fantasy world, which again I'll explain in just a moment. And then you get one of the things is this. It seems kind of silly, it's just a spiral bound, comb bound, whatever you want to call it, like you would make at Kinko's. But the reason it's like this is because this is what Tim actually made for the first Gary Con, because it wasn't meant to be a big product. It was just, hey, I need to bring an adventure. I need to play through it. Maybe somebody will want a copy. Very much never meant to be a commercial product. So this is not it. This is not one of the actual ones. It's something that was recreated, but it's meant to be in that theme. And then finally, you get this certificate of authenticity. So I have got, it says here it's limited to 300 copies. I've got number 13. And this certificate of authenticity really kind of shows you what this is really meant to be. This is meant to be a collector's item, I think, more than anything else. So I'm not going to judge it too much on. I'm not going to judge these adventures as if they were written right now for 5e to be a big audience thing, because that's not what they were for. They were so the first adventure that's in here is absolutely a very straightforward dungeon crawl. It's a good one. It's the kind of thing that you would expect to play if you were sitting at a table with some old school TSR folks from the 70s. And then the second one is a little bit more, it's got actually a little bit of a story to it, and it's called Return to the Frozen North because Tim didn't want to go to Lake Geneva in the middle of winter. So he literally just called it that. And it's got lots of Easter eggs and in jokes, and I can't find it right now, but one that's in here is one of the all of Gary's family are named in here in one way or another, just spelled a little bit differently and created as NPCs. And one of them is somebody called Little Luke, who apparently in the adventure was a regular civilian who was deluded into thinking they were a great elf called Melf. So it's all kind of a joke to the fact that, that was Luke's character. So it was definitely Tim kind of having some fun with folks. So it's cool for that. The actual book, I don't know. I haven't read it closely enough to be perfectly fair about it. So I think maybe we should get Don on here. And that's the other thing I forgot to say. So where this came from, who this really is. So Don Samora is the owner of Wizard Tower Games. It's a small independent publisher up in the upper Midwest, I think Michigan. And he went to Tim and said, could I put this out? And so he actually went to all the work of making it into a hardcover book, and he added in his own game world. He has his own kind of campaign setting. So he's put that in here along with some NPC player characters from it. So it's nice bonus material that you could fit Tim's adventures into. So it's nice for that. There's some inconsistencies in it. There's some things that I had questions about. It's supposedly for basic D&D, first edition AD&D, and 5th edition. But I had a little trouble finding where all of those things were. So maybe we can ask Don about that. At any rate, it does cost $95, which, if I'm being honest, I think is too much. For what it is, it's not $95 worth of stuff. But then on the other hand, it is a collector's item. There's only 300 of them, and it's the only way you're going to get these adventures that were run at the first 2 Gary Cons. So, maybe, I paid for it. This was not a freebie. I put my own wallet on the line for this, and I felt it was worth it. So, maybe it is. And I think it's worth at least having a look at.
Right. Okay. That's cool. I think for some reason, I feel like I played one of those because I was at Total Con, and obviously after those Gary Cons. And Tim, I got in an adventure Tim was running, and but it was an OD&D, so it might have been that one, or
well, these were written for OD. Oh, you mean like as in the little 3 books in the box?
Yeah, like I was playing an elf, and that was my class.
Oh, but in basic D&D, elf could be your class.
Really? Okay, I don't know.
Yeah. So,
I do remember that in the box set, but I think he said it was OD&D because I didn't recognize like some of the stuff that was on there. I was like, I've never seen this before because I never played OD&D. I played Advanced.
It would make sense for him to bring it. He put work into making these. They're good adventures. So you totally could have played through this.
I might have. I don't know.
Yeah. So, I just wanted to give that little review of it. I think it's worth having, especially if you are a collector and a completist. There still are copies available. So maybe the price is why there's still copies available. I don't know. Like I said, I mean, what the heck? I paid for it. If he'd made it half the price, what would I do with that extra $50, right? Go have a dinner. So,
Right.
At
Go to
McDonald's.
Starbucks
for
twice.
Dinner at McDonald's for one.
Right. Yeah.
That's
Nowadays.
about $50 now, right?
Yeah, pretty much. All right, cool. I think that's so one more thing.
Sure. You got one more thing?
I just want to mention you guys got ShireCon coming up that you two are going to.
Oh, and also Arcane Con.
Arcane Con. Yeah, I saw that.
So yeah, we are sponsoring Arcane Con. It's the first one. It's being held in Northampton, Massachusetts in November. James and I will both be there running different types of Top Secret. I'm going to run Top Secret as a very straightforward spy game, and James.
Oh, okay. So
You're running a heist.
Yep, I'm gonna be running a heist game. I've actually started putting some of the stuff together for it already, just to kind of showcase other stuff that you can do with the Top Secret, Lucky 13 game engine.
Right. That's cool.
It should be a really cool convention. So Brian Larkin is putting it together with some other people. It's very not OD&D. It's very OSR focused, but it's run by Brian. I don't know how old he is. I'm going to guess he's in his 20s. It's run by a younger generation of gamers who like OSR type things. So it's a cool flavor to it all. And Northampton's a great place to go. It's just a one-day convention. And then ShireCon, which is up in the corner of Connecticut, where there are no hotels or restaurants.
Yeah.
What'll this be? The third year?
I want to say more than that. I want to say at least the fourth or fifth.
Okay.
Really?
No, I thought third or fourth, but it's early. It's still early.
Yeah.
I've been to 2 of them now, and the second one was better than the first, and the third one looks better than the second. I think they're just going to keep improving. But I mean, not that it was bad in the first place. It was great the first time. Otherwise, it definitely is a cozy con.
Mm-hmm.
Can that be a genre? Can we make that a genre? Cozy
cons? I like cozy cons. No, I do. I really appreciate a small cozy con. It's nice.
Yeah, very just completely dedicated to gaming, and you see mostly the same people each time. And there's stuff for sale, but it's really just about hanging out with gamers.
I mean, I wish I could go to this one, but I'm traveling a lot in the next 2 months, so it's just not.
Yeah.
It's just not
Well, I mean, what with the whole things happening in DC and you working for the president now, and oh wait, sorry, scratch that. That didn't happen.
Right. Work for the president. Come on.
No, officially he's got no such title.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing with ShireCon though is that I just wish that it was in a place where you can actually get hotels. And
I know, it's crazy. When we looked for a place, how far you're going to be staying in Massachusetts, not Connecticut.
Yeah, we have to stay in Massachusetts because there's just everything else around there has been taken up. And to your point, Jason, everything around there is basically creepy bed and breakfasts that
oh yeah, it's all those ones where somebody's just going to be like sleeping in the room next to you and they own the house and they're going to wake you up with pancakes in the morning, and that's supposed to be quaint. That's just creepy. I don't know you. Get those pancakes away from me.
Yeah, I'm kind of picturing the Firefly family from like House of 1,000 Corpses or something.
Oh my god.
So yeah, I mean, you're a little further away from that part of Connecticut than I am, so it makes sense that you found a place 20 minutes away to stay. But I'm like, it's less than an hour, so I'm just going to drive up myself every day and just that'll be fine.
And then let's mention Total Con, because event submissions opened up for people to put events in. So
yes,
and we're going to have a big presence there. So we have our own room there every year, if you don't know. And if you've ever been thinking about going to Total Con, or you're in the area, or you want to come and play a bunch of our games, and it's a great con. I mean, you could come to that con and not play any of our games and have a fantastic time.
I mean, it would be less of a fantastic time than if you did play our games.
Should come in and play our games. But
we've already this year. Their theme is what again?
Cryptids.
Wait, cryptids? It's not aliens?
No, it's cryptids.
Oh, never mind.
Maybe I should do like a top secret, but like an X-Files version of Top
Oh,
Secret.
Yeah.
Land of the
Oh
Cryptids.
wow.
For sure. Why did I think it was going to be aliens?
We were talking about doing an alien LARP event,
Oh, okay.
but we don't.
Those are fun.
We're not sold on that just yet, but maybe we'll see.
Cryptids are great. Okay, that'll be great. So those are some conventions, and once our website's actually up and running again, we'll have those conventions on there with our schedule. But in the meantime, you can always check on our Facebook group.
All right.
Oh, and don't forget. I was gonna say, don't forget Paige either. We're gonna.
Oh my
be
goodness!
Shit, that's right.
at,
In January. Yeah.
Philadelphia Area Gaming Expo. Very big, very cool. It's our first time going. We're excited about it. So
Yeah.
See us there as well.
That's funny. I didn't even know the damn thing existed, and apparently it's big and it's right around the corner from me.
Yeah,
So, that's awesome.
so good. And with that, I think we're done for this week. Thanks
All right,
everybody for listening, and we'll see you next week.
All right.